Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome to the show. Welcome to Still Real to Me. I'm your host, John Kucher, aka Johnny Fashion. We are Big Bad Harmonless tonight. No Big Bad Harmon. Some things came up, so he is not gonna make our SummerSlam preview and prediction show. Too bad because it's SummerSlam, man. It's the second biggest show of the year for WWE. So, but I've called in the big guns. I've called in the big guns for replacements here. First, let's start from all the way across the country. From very, I don't know. I don't want to say sunny because it's never sunny over there in Seattle. Mr. David Dyer, what's going on, buddy? Welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me back. It's been way too long. Way too long. And I must say, it is sunny right now. At this moment right now, it is sunny in Seattle. I'm looking out onto the street, and I see sunny skies and a bunch of crazy hobos who are yelling incoherently into the late afternoon sky.
Nice. Awesome. Well, it's a pleasure to have you back on the show, man. Like you said, it has been too long. So, also on the show, another blast from the past, someone who has not been on the show in a very long time. Welcome back, Mr. Dustin Sun. What's going on, Dusty?
Holy shit! I think this is my one shot a year. I've haven't been able to make it in a long time, but happy to be here, buddy. Glad I could make it tonight.
Yeah, man, I am ecstatic that you're here.
Yep.
Hearing your voice on my show. I miss hearing your voice in general. We
Thank
get a
you,
lot.
brother.
We text a lot, but I love when you send me a like a voice, like little voice memo.
Yes, those are my favorite.
Yeah. I always do those like when I'm driving or I can't really text. So
Life has become too fast paced to like do traditional texting, so now I just try to like do voice text to get it all out there, so I don't have to try to like type everything. So it works great, and I feel like I can blend a little more humor in there.
yeah.
Dustin's new nickname is Textual Chocolate.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
I like it.
I love it. So, fellas, it is SummerSlam at the end of this week, and we are recording today on a Tuesday, which is too bad because I would have liked to do this later on in the week, to get the SmackDown recap in there as well. But Raw has happened. Raw was last night. Unfortunately, we can't podcast because I am leaving tomorrow to go to the great White Mountains of New Hampshire. I'm going to North Conway, going to hang out. 9-year wedding anniversary. So for the last half.
Congratulations, Johnny.
Nice.
Thanks, man. Thanks, guys. So it should
Your
be fun.
wife's still a hottie.
Well, thank you so much, sir. She'll be happy to hear that. So yeah. So I'll be gone for the rest of the week. So yeah, we got to do it tonight. Like I said, unfortunately, SmackDown's going on right now. So we're not going to get any SmackDown update leading into SummerSlam. But we know the gist of it, and we can kind of talk about the build up until now. First things first, let's get into some quick plugs before we dive right into some recent news. Fans of the show, you guys can now check us out on iTunes, Podbean, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, wherever you guys are going to get your podcasts from. Go there, search ISR2M Podcast, and you'll find us there. Spread the news, rate, review, subscribe, all that jazz. Get us while we're hot right there. Also, check out our good buddies over at Main Event Madness. Those guys air live every Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. You guys can check them out on blogtalkradio.com/maineventmadness. Also, check them out, at wrestling-news.net. And if you want to follow them on Twitter, their Twitter handle is at JONMEM Radio. It's a great follow. They have a great show. They're talking WWE, Ring of Honor, Global Force, all that stuff. So, guys, recent news. Some recent news things. Quickly, I want to talk quickly about this stuff because I really want to dive in on SummerSlam. But Raw last night, a fan dives in the ring and tries to test the man, Seth Rollins. Gets in his face. Rollins pushes him away. and then security quickly tackles him. But holy shit, guys, that guy got like in the ring and right up to Rollins, like with no security diving in at all. It was a wild sight. Dave, we'll start with you. What did you think of that?
For a billion-dollar-plus corporation like the WWE, I can't get over the number of times, at least in the last, 10 to 15 years, that a fan, and this is almost like semi-regular, at least once every 4 or 5 months, someone will actually get either onto the ramp or ringside, or even get a hand or an arm or half their head before Randy Orton punts it off or whatever, and then the wrestlers they take it onto themselves, obviously, they have to, because you don't know if the guy has a gun or a knife or whatever to beat the living shit out of them, as they should, because it's the wrong thing to do. How has the WWE not taken better measurements security-wise to fix this problem? I remember in the Attitude Era, I don't know if you guys remember this, their lead security guy looked like Bane from the really bad Batman and Robin movie.
Yeah.
He was huge, and you never saw anybody get into the ring. No one did. It didn't even happen. They didn't even try. And these days, I think the WWE just relies on the local hometown security, probably to save a couple bucks. I remember when I was at Daniel Bryan's retirement ceremony in Seattle here, way back earlier in the year, they just had the hometown security.
Yeah, just like that venue's security. Yeah.
Yeah, and no offense, but none of those guys working the Key Arena has seen a wait in the gym in at least a decade. I mean, I could have probably, I'm certainly no gym master myself, but I could have probably at least evaded at least 3 of them on the way to the ring before I get punched in the face by
Seth Rollins.
By Seth Rollins or something. So it's just, they got to take better measures to protect their wrestlers. That's what it comes down to, really.
Yeah.
But and obviously it just takes away from the actual live show. And I guess it's kind of neat that it's the reminder that, hey, Raw really is live, or SmackDown really is live, because stuff like this happens.
It does add that live aspect to it. That's a good point. Dusty, did you catch this last night at all, or have you seen this on the interwebs today? I
did see it on the interwebs today. I think it's one of those things where it's all good until it's not. I think most of these guys are trying to get, most of these fans are trying to kind of get their, 5 seconds or 15 seconds of fame. To my knowledge, there hasn't been any of these kind of run-ins with a weapon, but it seems like, especially with the world we're living in right now, that any time, one of these could be, pretty dangerous. So
yeah,
I agree. They need to do a better job enforcing security around the ring. If I was a wrestler, WWE, talent, I'd be concerned, because they're in a fairly closed environment, and for the most part they dispatch these guys pretty quick. But I think it's going to take something pretty serious for more extreme measures to come into play.
Yeah, and I think maybe if you're Seth Rollins or like Brock Lesnar or something, maybe you don't have too much to worry about, unless somebody has a weapon. But if you're like JoJo or Lillian or somebody that female talent, or Renee or something, and it's like anything can happen. These guys gotta be on their feet more. This is insane. Rollins, this is the second time that it's happened to Rollins. I remember, I think last year, the guy started to walk down the ramp with him, and he was like, "What the hell is this guy doing here?" So it's just really weird that this keeps happening, and so yeah, they got to do something about it. They got to tighten up some security, because things are getting out of control. It's not even they're not even just close calls. I mean, that guy was right in Rollins' face in the middle of the ring, which is absurd. So
But compliments to Rollins too for, I mean, like examples like this kind of show how good of a heel he is. Obviously, if you're, pissing off the crowd enough to want to come into the ring
yeah,
and like go face to face. CM Punk did this all the time. I mean, CM Punk like more so on house shows, but I mean, I remember him telling stories of how when he had the Straight Edge Society, this little old woman in like Tennessee or whatever who was in the front row basically was calling him the devil. And he's like
yeah,
telling him that he was going to hell for doing this fake Jesus thing with the Straight Edge Society gimmick,
yeah.
if you will. So I
Nice.
mean, credit to Rollins. At least he's doing his job. You know what I mean? He's probably,
Yeah,
after knowing that he's safe and everything,
yeah.
probably loved every second of it.
And he handled it well afterwards too. He looked like a little shooken up like briefly, but then he just like kept going with his promo and was laughing, and he was just like, he really went full heel right after that, and it was just awesome. So that it shows you which kind of or what kind of a professional he is. So, um, next up on the list for recent news, a little Easter egg kind of a thing. Brock Lesnar calls out Bill Goldberg in a WWE 2K17 commercial. I thought that was interesting. Goldberg's been, on the advertisements for the game. They kind of like he's like an unlockable character or something. So, and then Brock calls him out, which is interesting. I don't know what's gonna happen with that. I don't know how thrilled I am to see Goldberg return, but I'd love to hear what you guys think. Dustin, why don't we start with you this time? What are your thoughts on Goldberg in general, and then possibly returning to WWE?
From a fantasy wrestling perspective and a video game perspective, I like it. From a what's the point perspective, I'm not sure, what they would be trying to accomplish. I mean, I guess if this were a WrestleMania match, or a big pay-per-view match, I'd watch it. But I don't know how much Goldberg possibly has left offer, and for Goldberg to come back and get squashed by Brock Lesnar, which I think would happen. I don't know what the point is, but that's just my take.
Yeah, I kind of agree as well. They've already kind of put these guys together. I believe it was like WrestleMania 20, I think. I can't remember exactly, but they fought before, and it was two dominant guys going at it, and which one is gonna go over, and it doesn't really matter because it just doesn't really make sense. Like who you trying to push, and I mean that time was a little bit different because they were both leaving. And I don't know. It's just a weird matchup.
You know what WWE's been doing a lot lately that is frustrating, in my opinion, is like testing the waters with certain stuff. Like, I don't know how organic this was from Goldberg to Brock or Brock to Goldberg, but the way I think to really start the fire is to have Goldberg come in out of nowhere after a Brock victory and, beat the snot out of him and then slow burn it to wherever they're going with it. I mean, the element of surprise, I think, can open up the storytelling where if WWE's kind of letting the cat out of the bag early, then everybody has all this time to have an opinion about it. Where if it happens, live and out of nowhere, you're already invested into the story. You follow me?
Yeah, oh, I totally get what you're saying. And I agree. I love the element of surprise. That's why I've always been a big like Randy Orton fan. The out of nowhere, the RKO. Like I'm always surprised with him. So, and we can talk about his and Brock later, and maybe Goldberg plays a part in that. But we'll see. Dave, what do you think about Goldberg and his possible return?
Here's the thing. First of all, yeah, it was WrestleMania 20 that they tried to get these guys together, and it was a god awful match. First and foremost, both these guys have massive egos. Okay, fucking Bill Goldberg when he was in WCW took his character so seriously that he buried about at least half the roster, and denied other guys wins because he didn't think the people could believe it. And Brock, as we learned from the Dean Ambrose interview with Stone Cold Steve Austin this past week on the WWE Network, which you can get for $9.99, by the way.
They don't pay me, by the way.
He actually let the cat out of the bag that Brock didn't really want to do anything in the ring, except just beat the living piss out of him. So obviously Brock has a lot of say and leeway, in regards to what he does in WWE. So these are two guys with big egos who don't want to give anything away to each other. When they did have their one match, it was awful. They were both on their way out of the company. It was like a big FU to the fans, basically. Like, I remember Lesnar flipping off the crowd, and it was fitting because that's how bad of a match it was. And it took Stone Cold Steve Austin stunning both of them to, give it any sort of memory at all. And Goldberg, here's the thing with Goldberg. This is like the long-winded version of it, but Goldberg doesn't, at the end of the day, Goldberg really doesn't give a shit about the wrestling business. It's a moneymaker for him. That's all it is. It's money. He never really had a passion for it. He was an ex-football guy who just happened to get into wrestling, and the crowd fell in love with him because he was a big freak who, had two moves, and everybody loved to see it when it happened. And I would rather he just stay out. Like, honestly, the only way that you could get me even remotely interested in Bill Goldberg coming back to WWE is if he was facing Stone Cold Steve Austin, and it was a face-off of WCW's biggest guy from the Attitude Era versus the WWE's biggest guy during the Attitude. That's the only way that you could get me remotely interested in that. Other than that, he should just stay away. If he wants to do a Legends deal where he's in video games and have a DVD set where he's recounting his glory, fine. But just stay the hell out of the ring. Seriously.
Yeah.
We got enough guys like, quote unquote legends and, guys trying to hang on to their, to their glory years. I mean, for the love of God, enough WWE. We get it. We get it. You can't let go of the Attitude Era. I mean, Jesus Christ. Just, for the love of God, focus on what you have instead of...
Yeah, I was just going to bring that up. Yeah. They have so much talent, right now that... But the only problem is that it doesn't sell with a certain demographic. Like, it'll sell to us, but, if some guy who watched the wrestling in the Attitude Era hears that Bill Goldberg is going to come back, he's going to probably watch WrestleMania this year. And I feel like that's who WWE constantly tries to get back into their audience, is old Attitude Era fans. But it's just never going to happen. Eventually, those guys are going to get washed out, and they keep grasping for it, and now it's Goldberg, whereas before it was Sting, and then before that it was, it's kind of constantly always The Rock and Stone Cold. They're always teasing that, but that's never going to be a consistent thing. So they really got to focus on the future of that company, and I think that they're doing a fairly good job of it. But every once in a while, this kind of garbage comes along, and yeah, I'm kind of with you guys. I'm not really interested that much in Bill Goldberg coming back. I was never a big Goldberg fan in WCW. I never latched on to that craze. I was way more of a fan of, the Cruiserweight division or Eddie Guerrero, Benoit's, Malenko's, kind of like that era, or Raven, all that stuff. I was never a big Goldberg guy, so...
I think just whether it's the last point or not, I don't know. But my thing with a Goldberg return, a Sting signing, they got to let him win.
I know, right?
that's the thing. If I was booking a Goldberg return, I'd do it out of nowhere at a top 2 or 3 pay-per-view, and give Goldberg whatever limited run he needs to establish credibility, because Goldberg coming back and losing is just, it's lame, I was excited to have Sting come to WWE. I think we all were, But with how it all kind of ended up going, I just feel bad for him now. And you know, that's as a fan, that's not what I wanted.
Dustin hit that right on the head. Like, I feel like this, like it's almost like Vince's yearly reminder of, hey, by the way, we won the Monday Night War. So he's gonna take like a WCW guy and then bury him at WrestleMania. Like, we'll get as much money out of like DVDs and interviews and you know, figurines and all that crap.
Right.
But we're gonna bury you at our biggest show of the year. We're gonna take like one of our guys and beat the living hell straight out of you. Why? Because fuck you. That's why.
Yeah, I mean, basically,
it's gonna be Triple H.
Yeah, basically.
Basically, these guys, you know, Sting, and if Goldberg does it, they're basically signing away their soul.
Yeah, they're signing away like their legacy that they had already established, you know, where it could have just been stronger, you know, with you know, being like the face of WCW, and that was good enough, but it had to come to WWE. And I was super stoked to see Sting come back too, but I totally agree with you, Dustin. Like, the way it shook down was pretty bad. Him losing at WrestleMania to Triple H, I was like, oh, that like almost made me sick. And then, you know, and then sadly the way that it ended with Rollins was bad, because I thought that their build with Rollins and Sting was actually really, really good, and I was pumped that he was getting a title shot, and it was a really good build, and I loved it. But then, you know, unfortunately, he got injured in the match, and then, you know, decided to retire. But it just felt like such a raw deal, and I'd hate to, not that I'm like a Goldberg fan, I think I've established that, but, you know, I just hate to see that happen to anybody. You know, like, Goldberg has this legacy. Like, there are people that I talk to, if I ask them like who their favorite wrestler was or is or whatever, like, sometimes people will say Bill Goldberg, and I'm like, okay, that's an interesting choice. I would have gone otherwise, you know, another way, but I don't know. I mean, people give that answer all the time to me, so he definitely has a following, and I would hate to see it kind of squashed in a, you know, just for some DVD sales on the, you know, under the WWE banner. But
And plus Goldberg had his moment in WWE. You know, we, like, John, you and I were there for the backlash where he took on The Rock. I mean, you know, he had his moment, and he did fine. It was what it was, you know. I mean, didn't set the world on fire, but it was a nice little moment. And then, you know, WrestleMania 20 happened, and then he left the company. You know, I think they already got out of Goldberg what they were gonna get. I mean, honestly.
yeah, and I don't see like the fan base now really wanting a Goldberg return. I see, like I mentioned earlier, guys, you know, from the Attitude Era that, like, they're like, oh, I'll watch that because I used to like Bill Goldberg, but I don't really watch wrestling anymore. But people that consistently watch wrestling right now, I don't think they're into like a Goldberg return. At least that's just my, you know, what I think the general consensus is. I have no idea
Johnny,
if that's accurate or
I
not,
think,
but
Johnny, I think you're on point with that. I just think that if the circumstances were just right and the storytelling was coherent,
right.
I'd buy anything. But I think at times WWE has showed an inability to do that for anyone. So it's like,
Yeah.
you know, it may be a tall task to try to. And again, I mean, the cat's like already out of the bag, so to speak, on Goldberg. If he comes back now, we're all kind of expecting it or waiting for it. And I just think that's what stinks, you know. If they could do this in a way where there was a surprise factor and it led to something meaningful, even if it was brief, I'd be on board. But I don't believe that they can or will do that.
Yeah. No.
The only positive thing in this is that Goldberg has got to be the last guy, right? I mean, this has to be it. Because it's not like you're going to bring Hall and Nash down that aisle, and then Nash tears his quad again, and then, you know, Hall is, you know, whatever Hall is these days, and it's just there's nobody left. There's nobody left that's a surprise anymore, right? You know? I mean, this would be it. I mean, that's the only positive thing from this whole Goldberg thing is that, like, that has to shut the door on the Monday Night War era. It has to.
Yeah. I mean, I think you're right. I mean, I didn't think about it like that until just now. But yeah, I mean, I don't know who else they would or could bring back for a return that would be, you know, significant. So I think, yeah, if it's not Goldberg, then that's probably the end of it. Which I'll
tell you who, Virgil. Virgil. That's the lonely Virgil.
Vincent, you mean? You mean Vincent?
Yes, that's right.
The Meat Sauce Mafia.
Yeah. I was thinking a little bit more Lash LaRue, or maybe a little bit
Lash
more.
LaRue.
Yeah. I don't know.
General Erection.
Yes. General Rex. Oh my God, terrible, terrible. Anyway, guys, let's get into SummerSlam. Oh my God, SummerSlam, like I mentioned earlier, the second biggest event of the year, right behind WrestleMania. This is a huge event, and there's a shit ton of matches on this card. First off, guys, let's just talk SummerSlam in general. What are your guys' memories of SummerSlam? You guys get excited for SummerSlam, I'm sure. Last year we had a great time at Dustin's with an 8-foot screen watching SummerSlam. But just in general, what do you guys think? Maybe, even if you mention like some past SummerSlams, I know me personally, SummerSlam '91, Bret Hart versus Mr. Perfect. Oh, one of my favorite matches of all time.
One of the best.
So, Dave, let's start with you. Your general thoughts on just SummerSlam, the event itself?
I think you pretty much nailed it. When I think of SummerSlam, for whatever reason, I really associate Bret Hart with it.
Yeah.
In a couple of ways. Obviously, you just mentioned the big one. That was the match with Mr. Perfect in '91. But then there was also the one at Wembley with British Bulldog,
Yep.
and winning the Intercontinental title. That was huge. I actually still remember, for whatever reason, it stands out in my mind when Jesse the Body Ventura, who had just been elected governor of Minnesota at the time, decided to come in and be like the special referee for the evening. Was it 2000, 2001? And it was the first time they really got into cahoots with MTV too, like at least for that time. And it really was a huge thing. And yeah, I don't know, like it's like you said, it's that second biggest show of the year. And I don't know, it's they've always seemingly put on good matches with it. They take it. It's great because WWE is always taking it pretty seriously. Right up there with WrestleMania. They realize it's their second biggest show of the year. The matches are good. It's not a throwaway show like a lot of these other pay-per-views they have are.
Right.
But
right.
no, it's always had a solid tradition, and that's what gets me into it every year.
Yeah, right on. Dusty, what about you? What are your thoughts on SummerSlam?
I've always enjoyed SummerSlam just because, the way that WrestleMania tends to kind of set the tone from March to August, SummerSlam kind of sets the tone heading towards Survivor Series and heading towards the Rumble. And I've always felt that SummerSlam is a high energy show, and there's usually a big outcome in one way or the other from a SummerSlam, whether it's in a title picture or a big heel turn or a big face turn. Something big tends to happen at the four major pay-per-views, but at SummerSlam. So I'm looking forward to it. Maybe I haven't been up on it enough. I mean, the brand splits happened. I think people have different thoughts about that. I'm excited for Finn Balor. I know we're going to get into the matches, but I feel like something's missed me on this SummerSlam, and I hope I get turned around in the podcast today. But I'm not sure how I'm feeling about this year's SummerSlam.
All right. No, that's cool. Let's get into it then. We'll start. I'm just looking at Wikipedia as a list for the matches here. So, let's start from the bottom here. I don't know if this is going to be on the main card or like the pre-show or whatever, but let's go with Cesaro versus Sheamus. It's a singles match, and it's the first match in a best-of-7 series. Oh my goodness.
To prove what? I mean, that's
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. Dustin, why don't you take it then?
Well, I don't know. I love Cesaro. I'm a big fan of his ability. I feel bad kind of about where both of these guys are right now, kind of just in the depth chart of things. Cesaro looks like a guy who's struggling to land on a gimmick. Sheamus, I think, could be headed back towards a main event run, but I don't really understand this feud. I haven't been watching enough lately to even see how this started. Cesaro's just an impressive wrestler. I'll watch him take on anybody because he does a lot of work in his matches. So from that standpoint, I'm interested. But other than that, my interest is pretty low.
Yeah. They basically started this because they had a match one week, and then they had the same match. Mick Foley liked it so much that he booked the same match the very next week, and then Cesaro won both of them, and then on the same night as the second match, he gave Cesaro a title match for the U.S. title against Rusev, which is just insane. And then Sheamus interfered, and so they've just been interfering in each other's matches, and Mick Foley says, "You guys like to fight each other so much, a best of 7 match," which is just so much. They've already fought each other so many times. And I feel like Sheamus is a guy that always gets roped into really long just feuds like this that don't really mean anything. I remember I believe it was around last SummerSlam. Yeah, he was in a feud with Randy Orton that just seemed like forever.
Yeah.
They were just fighting each other every week for no good reason at all. And Sheamus kind of always finds himself there.
These guys unfortunately are on the wrong end of a very deep talent pool. There aren't enough titles. There aren't enough, and I feel like they've tried a lot of different things with Sheamus, from what I understand, he didn't draw as a world champion. They put him in some stables, they've turned him heel, they repackaged it, when he turned heel, and it doesn't seem to be working. And Cesaro, a hell of a wrestler, all the physical talent in the world, but they just won't really put a belt on him. And, at some point, kind of the Ziggler effect, I don't care who you are or how much you like the guy, it's just hard to take him seriously.
Yeah, I agree. Dave, what are your thoughts on this matchup?
I could watch Cesaro wrestle for hours. His style fits with everybody. And that's the thing that I love most is, in the ring, the guy is freaking phenomenal.
I wanted you to say a cardboard box.
Yeah, he could. He's right. Dustin had a great comparison there with Ziggler. You know what I mean? Ziggler could go in the ring with a, broomstick and still look good. Make the broomstick look like $1 million, and so can Cesaro. You're right. The international man of mystery thing. That's just pretty lame. I want Cesaro just to be Cesaro and just focus more on the in-ring product and just focus on being serious and kind of just being a badass. He could end up if he just did that, if he didn't have a goofy gimmick, he could have an Ambrose-like effect on the crowd. I swear to God, the crowd wants to love him. They really do. But, like Dustin was saying, you also got to take him, the way to take him seriously is for his character to start being more serious than this, James Bond thing. Sheamus isn't even the best Irish wrestler on the roster. He's Becky Lynch. First of all, Becky Lynch is a better wrestler and far better looking than that goofy bastard is any day of the week. But yeah, I am so done with Sheamus. I could go on for hours about how he really. It's time to. Not only should Sheamus not ever be in the world title picture, he should just be gone from WWE.
Wow, that's a bold statement. Really?
For a while, yeah. He just doesn't. To me, I just don't feel. I don't feel like he connects with the crowd. I really don't. He's starting to. I think at some point he's gonna end up getting X-Pac heat. He's gonna get, booed not because he's inciting the crowd, because the crowd is tired of his ass.
Yeah.
I really do. Just go back, go to acting. Just focus on acting. Be in the next Ninja Turtles movie and just get off my TV screen.
Wow.
It's like yeah, fella, and then just broke it. Like come on, man.
Oh my God.
You're Triple H's lifting buddy. That's why you're on TV.
Yeah, they work out. They work out at midnight together.
I'm so over Sheamus. The only thing that I look forward to in this best of 7 series is the fact that Cesaro's in it. Like that's basically it. And hopefully he just sweeps all 7 matches. That would be wonderful.
Who do you think? So you're gonna go Cesaro takes his first matchup at SummerSlam?
You know what? Unfortunately, just thinking of WWE's booking, I'm sure that Sheamus will probably end up taking match number 1 to kind of set the tone, but then like Cesaro will come back. It'll probably be like, God, it'll probably end up being like Sheamus wins the first 3, and then Cesaro starts to come back.
Yeah.
So just for WWE booking purposes, I'll say Sheamus wins that match, but obviously I'll be rooting hard for Cesaro.
Yeah. Dustin, real quick, who do you think just takes it?
My instinct says Cesaro, but this is just again, I think it's a tough, can either one of these guys afford to go on a downward trajectory? And whoever wins, where are they going? You know what I mean?
Right, yeah. It's like another one of those things. It's just like matches to have matches to fill the card, and none of them progresses or declines, I feel like. So, did you pick? Who did you pick? Did you say Cesaro? You said Cesaro.
I'm gonna take Cesaro on instinct. I don't know why.
I think I'm gonna take Cesaro as well. Just for no good reason. I don't know. I think it's a SummerSlam moment. They might just give it to him because the crowd is kind of hot on him. But I don't know. We'll see. Moving along, we've got Rusev defending the United States Championship against Dustin, your boy, Roman Reigns.
Yeah. I have a love-hate relationship with Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
Such a luscious mane of hair.
Yes. I think I'm thinking Roman Reigns is going to be our new U.S. champion. I don't like it, but I think that it's a nice solid demotion for him, and it kind of gets him out of the main title picture. And WWE wants him to be John Cena, and I think Cena had a really good run with the U.S. title, and I think that they're thinking that, oh, maybe this will be a good fit for Roman. I haven't liked this build at all. I think this is a silly matchup, and I think it's a silly build. It makes Rusev look stupid because he's just like the butt of Roman's jokes, and it's just he's not being like the monster. I hate how they play Rusev as like he's either a monster or he is just slipping on the banana peeling, and his wife is going face first in a cake. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. Like, it's just so stupid. So I'm just, again, for WWE booking purposes, like you said, Dave, I'm gonna go Roman Reigns wins this. He's your new champ. What do you think, Dave?
There's probably like a bunch of wrestlers in the back right now going, man, I wish my demotion ended up being a U.S. title run.
I know.
It's just like you look at the quote unquote demotion of Roman Reigns, and you're going, is it that much of a demotion? I mean, I don't know, but as far as Reigns is definitely gonna win. Rusev, see my comments of Sheamus as far as Rusev goes. Like, honestly, like I'm so over Rusev. He'll stay in WWE obviously because of his wife. Everybody wants to see Lana on their TV screen, but yeah, I mean, like, he's just been booked awful.
Yeah.
For the better part of a year, and it's just it's a waste because in the ring he actually is fairly talented, but he's just I hate America. The I hate America gimmick is so outdated now. It was great in the 80s, and then even the early 90s, but it's come on, we're over it now. Like,
yeah, they usually book Rusev like for 3 months pretty good, and then the rest just terrible. Like, just the worst. Like, the rest of the year it's just garbage. So
absolutely. So I got Reigns winning, and God, Rusev just probably get like he'll be curtain jerking for a while on Raw probably.
Yeah.
It'll be like the first match on Raw for a while.
Yeah, Dusty, what are you thinking about this match?
Well, I'm going to take a sharp left-hand turn here and say that I think that it would be the best thing for Rusev if he won this match and won it clean. And I mean, I may have this, off base a little bit, but I feel like they've invested quite a bit in a rebuild of Rusev. He, in my opinion, is as good on the mic as he's ever been. He trimmed down. I don't think he's the best wrestler in the world, but I think having the U.S. title on a heel is the way to do it. And I'm not sure. I know that the formula is, unbeatable heel carries title for 8 months and underdog face, comes in and takes it. But I'm not sure Roman Reigns deserves it. That's how I feel about it. And to take it one step further, I think the U.S. Championship is a stupid belt anyway.
Nice. I definitely agree with you a little bit, Dusty. I like Rusev a lot when he's booked as like the monster. And I like that when he's kind of like unstoppable. I hate when he's the butt of jokes and it's kind of like they want him to be laughed at, and it's just so silly. They booked him pretty good for a little bit, and then once Roman came back into the picture, it was just curtains for Rusev. I would have liked to seen Roman completely out of this picture, and kind of like what you just said, Dusty. Have Rusev go on like this, 8 month run, unstoppable run with the U.S. title, and then I don't know, maybe have like Sami Zayn or somebody like come on like the ultimate underdog, you know, get the title, and I think that would be really good. How crazy is that? Like a month ago, Sami Zayn has, a match of the year candidate, against Kevin Owens, and now he's not even on SummerSlam. Like it's just insane to me, like how they go about things. And furthermore, what has Roman Reigns done to deserve a title shot? He hasn't done anything. He got suspended, came back, lost his title match, and then just like got in Rusev's face and demanded a title shot. And Mick Foley's like, yeah, okay. But you have Cesaro over there who's like beating Sheamus, a former world champ, every single week. And then he got like a shitty title match on Raw, which Sheamus interfered in. But there's like no retribution for Cesaro. Like that's it. He just, we'll see you later because we just like Roman Reigns better. Like,
Well, that's just it. At the end of the day, Roman Reigns he's still the golden boy, and I guess
Yeah.
this is proving it. This is only proving what we've already known, that the company is fully behind Roman Reigns, that he's the future of the company, that PEDs be damned, we're still gonna push this guy to the moon, and you're gonna like it. And
Yeah, I just wish like their booking was a little bit more linear, like especially on Raw. Like Raw is crazy about how just off the cuff they are with decisions. Like Mick Foley is just like, handing out these matches and these stipulations, and like none of it really makes any sense. And I was like, what? Okay, like what did Roman do? Why is he just get a match? Why? It doesn't make any sense. He should have to win a match before he, you know, vies for the title. It doesn't make any sense to me. So.
Well, the thing is I think it's a way. The thing that another kind of like the Cesaro and Sheamus match. I think the problem with this one is that it's a way for Reigns to start an ascension. To start a build back to the main title picture. And as far as Rusev goes, I think the WWE has already played all their cards with Rusev. Really, I mean, they're not going to break up him and Lana now. I mean, so I think it really hurts Rusev if he loses this match. I think it puts him into different air if he wins the match, by submission or something. And then they could do something where a heel has to, or excuse me, a face has to cheat to get the title off him. I mean, they could do some cool things if they keep the belt on him. Just giving it to Reigns, that something just stinks with that.
Yeah, no, I agree. All right, let's see, guys. Moving on, we got the tag team match of Enzo Amore and Big Cass versus Chris Jericho and Kevin Owens. They are naming themselves Jericho. Pretty awesome. I'll say this about Jericho. They are my favorite tag team right now. Like they're amazing together. They were born to be together. They're so funny the way that they play off each other. Um, their backstage interview last night on Raw was so funny to me. I was just laughing the entire time. Jericho's whole like it thing is great, and Kevin Owens just kind of being like the straight man is just fantastic. I love it. I love everything about uh, Owens and Jericho right now, and I will not say this very often about many tag teams, but I hope that they go over on Enzo and Big Cass. Even though I think that would stall out Enzo and Cass's, run right now, I think Jericho and Kevin Owens should go over. They're kind of I don't know, outshining Enzo and Cass right now. So at least in my opinion. But Dustin, what do you think?
Well, I have a lot of thoughts on this, and I think as far as Jericho goes, I think there was a time when a lot of us were sick of Jericho,
Yes.
and now I think everyone is reveling and enjoying how multifaceted he is. I mean, this guy, he's fantastic. They've paired him with he's tagged with just about everybody on the roster and made an impact. Y2AJ, Jericho, Jericho. I mean, it's fantastic. And I think, are both Owens and Jericho Canadian?
Yes.
So, they probably have, just a rapport with each other on that, and you can tell when Jericho gets with who they pair him up with, it's working. And I don't think, like we've talked about the other matches, how outcomes could affect the future. No matter who wins this match, everybody's going to be okay.
Yeah, I agree. Dave, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm certainly with you guys as far as Jericho. I think they're hilarious, and I'm with Dustin. I think they could go over Enzo and Cass in this match, and it would have no ill effect on Enzo and Cass whatsoever. Enzo and Cass to me are the new age outlaws. I mean, they come in, they have a shtick, people love it. They're saying it right along with them. I mean, they essentially are the new age. They're bulletproof. They are. They really are. As long as they're coming out there and saying their thing, as long as Enzo's talking shit and and it's entertaining, they don't necessarily have to win.
Right.
That's the thing. Like
nobody remembers their wins and losses. That's I think one of the best, in my opinion anyway, about Enzo and Cass. That they're going to be fine. Jericho and KO could win this match, cheating, and being the dirty heels, and it would only stand to get Enzo and Cass over more.
Yeah, I agree with you guys both. Everybody in this situation is going to be great afterwards, moving on. No one's taking that step back. They could continue the feud after SummerSlam or move on. I think that they've got maybe some big plans for Cass as like a singles competitor maybe down the road. I'd love to see just him and KO pound it out in the future as in a singles match, but we'll see.
I hope they don't do it too soon with Cass, because I still it's kind of twofold. One, he still looks fairly green in the ring and on the microphone, so Enzo carries that team as far as the microphone skills. Like, I hope that they keep that team together for a little while, at least honestly another year. Like, if it was like this time next year and you told me you were going to break up the team, Big Cass is going to be by himself, like, I'm totally fine with it. But like, give him some time, let him develop, let him get confidence, like, both on the mic and in the ring, and that would be great. I definitely see the future for him as a big man, but let that team just sell tickets for a while,
Yeah,
be
I'm right there
entertaining.
with you, man. I totally agree. But Vince McMahon, he sees dollar signs and he's just gonna go for it. He'll do it sooner than he should, I'm sure. But
Big man equals huge erection for Vince. Like,
I want
yes,
to
it's
I
true.
want to get this in here because Dave, you brought up a great point with not doing it too soon, and a couple of things that I fell into a rabbit hole within the past couple of weeks of watching were split ups of tag teams, and the two that I think of, and I'm sure there are others, but the two that I kind of have seen most recently was when Shawn Michaels turned on Marty Jannetty, which was fantastic. That was the way to do it.
Yeah,
And in my mind, I'm hoping at some point the cast just turns on Enzo. I mean, I think that's how that would go. But also, Strike Force when Tito Santana and Rick Martel,
wow,
I think
nice.
were, and those were legit tag team breakups that yielded a great outcome.
Totally, man. Wow, Strike Force. I haven't thought about Strike Force in
blast from the
forever.
past, baby.
But so perfect because Rick Martel was such a dick after that.
Oh yeah, yeah, totally. He went on to be the model, and he was just the
It was
worst.
great, and that's they gotta let this thing percolate with Enzo and Cass for a while, and then when they are at the top or the pinnacle, if they're not already there, they gotta turn Cass on Enzo. That's how I would play it.
Yeah, totally, totally. All right, guys, moving along. We have the other tag team match on the card. We've got the match for the tag team championships. We've got New Day, Kofi Kingston, and Xavier Woods defending against Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson. Obviously, New Day will be sans Big E because of his broken peen. So he won't be there. So it's gonna be Kofi and Xavier, two little guys taking on uh, Doc Gallows and Doc Anderson over here, which I think those guys have been fantastic in their promos. Gallows and Anderson doing the whole doctor thing. It's really funny to me. It's a little overkill. It's a little like, okay, but they're funny, man. They're really showing that they can, put on decent skits and that they've got personality. And I was kind of worried about those guys that they were just gonna come in and like WWE would kind of sweep them under the rug a little bit and just make them like a standard tag team and not really give them the time. But they have, and I think it's great. I'm not like totally excited about this match. I don't know why. I'm more excited about the other tag match, even though the titles are on the line here. I don't know. Maybe I'm just getting burnt out on New Day. I don't know why. They've been the champs for almost a year now, so uh, I don't know. It just doesn't feel. It's kind of like similar to what you were saying, Dustin, earlier. It's like how you kind of like missing on SummerSlam a little bit this year. Like this is one of those matches where I'm like, I can kind of take it or leave it. I don't know. How do you guys feel, Dave? Why don't you start with you?
I mean, there's no way this match doesn't end with like Big E spearing like both of them, right? Like on the outside, and then New Day somehow wins the match. I
Yeah,
mean, it's basically what it's going to lead up to is Big E's like return and getting their comeuppance on these guys. I love Gallows and Anderson. They are certainly made for each other as a tag team. I'm with you, Johnny. I'm kind of burnt out on New Day. I mean, look, they got their thing, they got their shtick. They're great with kids, and you got to sell that product to that particular group of viewers. But at the same time, as far as in the ring goes, like it's the same deal. And I've always loved Kofi, and I always will. But like, it's a little tiring. New Day will win this. It would be awesome if Gallows and Anderson won it, but it'll definitely be New Day, and I'm totally blah about it. I'm with you. I look forward to the Jericho match more than I look forward to this one. And it's for the
yeah,
titles, which is again that's kind of on WWE booking there. If you're more excited about the other tag team match than the WWE tag titles, you're not doing it right.
yeah. And I'm with you. I think New Day will retain, but um, maybe some. I don't know. Like I guess they'll retain, but it'll be in a weird way. Like maybe, like you said, Big E comes in or something. But it would be crazy if Gallows and Anderson took it, and it is SummerSlam, so it might happen. But if I was a betting man, I'd say New Day retains. Dustin, what about you?
You know, this match made me think. Well, Gallows and Anderson make me think of a line that I think Bill Simmons said one time about Pedro Martinez pitching or Manny Ramirez hitting. When they're on, you're not getting up to go to the bathroom. And that's how I feel about Gallows and Anderson. When they are on, I'm watching, and I think they are great. I would love to see them win the tag titles. I think one strange thing about the tag title scene is I never really understood why the tag titles weren't on the line against the Wyatts. So to have the tag titles be on the line now with, on paper, I think Gallows and Anderson take care of Kofi and Xavier Woods, but, like Dave's, like both you guys said, the X factor of Big E coming back. I'm excited for this match. This is one that I'm looking forward to. I would love to see Anderson and Gallows take this, and I hope they do. I don't know who's going to win this match.
Nice. All right, man. Well, we'll find out on Sunday.
On the WWE Network, which you can get for $9.99.
No more plugs. No more plugs for them until they start paying me. All right, man. Moving on, we've got John Cena versus AJ Styles in just a straight-up singles match. I think this is going to be great. No club involved, just one-on-one. I think this has potential to be match of the night. These guys could, potentially just steal the show. They had a great match last time, but obviously, the club got involved. I think the build has been very good. It's been almost a little, personal. The last, in-ring promo that Cena cut was pretty harsh. It seemed very personable, very, very real to life for AJ Styles and his journey. And almost a little insulted. And actually, Daniel Bryan said that he was insulted. I'm sure it was, all part of the script. But I don't know. A little part of me believes that Daniel Bryan may have actually been insulted because he was basically saying, that he doesn't have to, he can go elsewhere, like movies and stuff. But if AJ Styles goes elsewhere, he's gonna have to go back to the Ring of Honor or wherever, and he's had to do that to make ends meet to feed his family. And John Cena's never had to do that. So. I don't know. It's just it's interesting. It's weird. It's the closest heel Cena I think we've seen in a long time. Even though he's the face in this and AJ is the heel, it's Cena's being very dickish, at least in his last promo. So I'm gonna go out on a limb, and I know that WWE doesn't do this very often, but I'm gonna go out on a limb. And I'm going to say AJ Styles goes over John Cena at SummerSlam clean. And I think that they give AJ Styles his due and his respect. And I know that I sound like a crazy man saying all this, but I think that's what's going to happen. And I'm really thrilled about that and really happy if that – I'd be really happy if that happened for AJ Styles. I think it's a long time coming. Let's see. Who wants to start here? Who did we go with last time? We go with Dave first? Let's go Dustin first this time. What do you think?
Well, I mean, I agree with everything you just said. I think there's very little argument to say that AJ Styles hasn't been one of the best things to happen to the WWE this year. I mean, he's just outstanding. He's outstanding on the mic. He's even better in the ring. The thing that's working so great with the John Cena feud is that it's so real, and they can play off of so many real things, and it's fresh, and it's just big time. This is big time main event shit, and it's so fun to watch. Their matches have been fantastic, and I hope that the outcome is the same way. I think AJ has a lot more to gain, and I hope he gets it because I think he deserves it.
Yeah, right on. Dave, what do you think?
If Cena sounds like a dick, it's because Cena is a dick. This is what he's been doing for 15 years, okay? He takes any new talent that comes in that's working their way up the ladder, he completely buries on the microphone, and then he tries to bury in a match. Now, hopefully, the good news is that AJ Styles has won so many fans over in WWE since he's come in that I think finally we have a guy who can, hop over the Cena Berry train and actually, come out of this, smelling like a rose, which is great. I'll go one further. Not only is this going to be the match of the night, I'm going to go ahead and say that this, as long as there's no outside shenanigans and it's straight one-on-one and nothing else happens, this could be a match of the year candidate. I feel that strongly. The ring work between both guys has been phenomenal, and no pun intended there, although I guess I should have. But no, it's going to be a great match. It's definitely the match of the night, possible match of the year. And I'm with you. I'm going to go with AJ Styles winning clean, and it's going to be awesome. Even he can avoid John Cena's Berry train. So.
Nice, I think another kind of just quick a point that I wish that I had made in my original kind of opinion.
Yeah,
is that I feel more than really anybody that I can think of lately. Maybe Rollins, and I honestly haven't seen enough of Balor, but AJ Styles brings the best out of the guy that he is fighting, and. He has good matches with everyone because he's that good, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, and this is in no way, shape, or form shitting on Roman Reigns or anything, but like, man, their series that they had was really great. And I know people like to say, "Oh, AJ carried him," which is bullshit. I mean, Reigns is pretty good in the ring, but it's just like you said. I mean. He brings the best out of people, and he just has great matches. And obviously, Cena can go as, despite the fans chanting, "You can't wrestle," or like, "Cena sucks." Like, the guy has obviously been on top for a long time for a reason. He's not sleeping with the boss's daughter or anything. So he's.
I'll go one further. I think Cena's in-ring work has been better than it's ever been.
Yeah,
the last couple of years.
Yeah, he's great, man. I think when he was the U.S. champ, that kind of really proved it when he was wrestling somebody different every week, live on Raw and putting on great matches. Stardust, Sami Zayn, KO. He's just wrestling Ziggler. He's wrestling a different guy every week, and it's always like match of the night. So, and he's like the one constant in all those matches. So you got to give him props for that. And then you pair him here with AJ, and it's just going to be unbelievable. This is the match that I'm probably looking forward to the most on this card, and it doesn't even have a title attached to it, which is great in itself.
Yeah, I mean, I had read one thing that I had read that made me, for all the shitting on Vince that we do, and rightfully so at times, I had read that he is just so happy with AJ Styles, and I know that he was signed to WWE at one point, but the quote that I had read was that Vince wished he had signed him 10 years ago. And that's just quite an endorsement from somebody who at times we're not sure what their mental capacity is.
Well, good. Now let's maybe Vince should congratulate him by giving him a run for the title with Ambrose. That would be pretty sick too.
I mean, we just gotta hope that happens.
Yeah, I hope that's the next step. So, all right, guys, moving along, we got The Miz defending the Intercontinental Championship against Apollo Crews, or Apollo Creed if you're Daniel Bryan.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Again, I don't know where this match really falls because, one, I haven't seen SmackDown this week. I don't know if they're gonna prep it up, leading in with the Go Home show, prepping up, leading into SummerSlam. I don't know what their plans are for that. Apollo Crews wasn't even on SmackDown last week. It's just, yeah, it's been a hard one to build the match. I will say this, that the Miz and Maurice have been pretty great lately. Like they're really awkward, um, like laying down on the like on the desk in front of Renee Young, like getting closer and closer every time the camera cut back. It was pretty awkward and pretty awesome last week on SmackDown. They've been kind of keeping it together with this build, but at the end of the day, I don't know how excited I am to see Apollo Crews challenge for the Intercontinental Championship. Um, I don't know. It's nothing against the guy. I think he's a great athlete, but he doesn't do it for me in the personality category, and I don't know where to go with him. It's like I don't know why WWE thinks that I would care about Apollo Crews getting the Intercontinental Championship this early in his career. Dave, what do you think?
I think Apollo Crews is a mini me of Bobby Lashley, and by that I mean, great, tremendous athlete. I'm sure the WWE sees like big things in him, but he has no personality, and he just does athletic things. I love him as a wrestler, like in the ring, like his ring work is great, but dude has no charisma. Like I don't really get Apollo Crews right now. The Miz, John, I've always felt, the same about you with the Miz. I frankly hate him. I mean, he has done good stuff lately, but awkward was a good word. That's how I felt about his movie Marine for Homefront. So it's fitting. So I this is probably the match I care the least about on the card.
Yeah.
Miz will win. He'll do it by nefarious means, and for Apollo Crews, I don't even know where he goes from this. Like, I hope the best for him. I hope he is to find something as far as like his character and like connecting with the crowd. But if there's one thing that I've learned by watching guys like I love guys who do great things in the ring like Neville or like Tyson Kidd. But if you don't have something, if you don't have that charisma that connects with the crowd, if you don't have that something, then you're just a dude who does awesome moves in the ring, and that's not gonna win you over or get you very far with WWE.
Yeah, they should team him with Neville.
That would be awesome. That would be
Both of those
awesome.
guys have no personality, but are just awesome in the ring, and they'd be able to like hide behind a tag team gimmick. Just I don't know, throw capes on both of them. That's the worst idea ever. But don't do that. But just team them together.
Yeah,
I think
I
they're on
mean,
different brands, but I don't know. Dustin, what do you think?
Apollo Crews, is a swing and a miss. I mean, out of the gate here since his call up. I mean, yeah, I mean that's just how it has to be seen and how it is. That the guy does not have a gimmick. I remember watching one of the NXT specials where he was struggling so badly to cut a believable promo. I don't think that's changed. The Smiley McSmilestein gimmick, I don't get that. I have no frame of reference of who he was when he was Uha Nation or whatever he was. But whatever he's doing now, if he wins the Intercontinental Championship, it will be a travesty. I don't love The Miz, but I think The Miz's work maybe not exactly similar to Jericho, but in the same church of, I think Miz might be doing some of the best, work of his career, in the ring and out. So I think Miz holds on to the title. They got to find somebody to challenge for the Intercontinental title that's like like a legit face. But no way should Apollo Crews win. I think his name alone is hurting him, to be honest with you. Obviously, I mean, with Daniel Bryan calling him the wrong name, it's just not working out.
I think if
Yeah.
the only thing that could help like Apollo Crews right now, honestly, is if he got a manager, like, and I mean like the kind of thing that like Darren Young has right now with Bob Backlund, like get like some WWE legend who doesn't have anything going on, but like might be a good mouthpiece for him or something, and just like build him up because like he needs it. He needs it bad.
Yeah, at times I think that they called him up too early, and they were just so impressed with his in-ring work that they kind of looked past his his lack of charisma and stuff. But Harmon wrote a really great good push, bad push last week, I believe. And the bad push was was Apollo Crews, and it was just like, God, his general manager can't even remember his name. It's like, how do you expect fans to even care about the guy, if his general manager can't even remember his name. So it was just so on point that it wasn't even funny. So
You know what it is too about him, I think, that's just too bad is that he probably is the nicest guy, dude. He looks like the nicest guy in real life, and I think he just doesn't have the acting ability or the acting data chip in him. Like I don't think it's going to happen for him. I think he has to be himself because he can't be anything else, and in himself for his profession is not going to work. I mean, he can be as physically intimidating or be the physical specimen that he is, but the nice guy thing is not going to work.
Yeah. And what really bums me out about this match is that it's for the Intercontinental title too, and I've always associated SummerSlam with the Intercontinental title. Like we kind of said at the beginning of the show, with like, with Bret Hart kind of being really associated with the IC belt, and it's just like, it's just so, I don't know, it's just moved like to such like not even a mid card match anymore. It's just like a lower card match on this card.
You know who should have this match, in my opinion, and this is kind of out of nowhere, and I have no basis points for this, but I hope we can agree that it would be better. Baron Corbin.
Yeah, that would be way better, actually. I would love Baron Corbin as not so much a heel, but just kind of like an in-betweener. Like he just beats the shit out. I mean, he
exactly.
He did actually lay hands on The Miz recently, and kind of established that a little bit, and I thought that would be a good matchup.
This to me would have been like the match to have Sami Zayn in. Like really, like honestly, I feel like if you could have had like an underdog, that the fans are behind, like Sami Zayn with an asshole like The Miz, like for the like that, I feel like that would have been a really good setup.
Is it bad? And I know
they're on different brands, but just they didn't really plan any of that out. Well, I think when they did the draft, they didn't really plan too far ahead on feuds or really even immediate feuds. They just left a lot of things, like a lot of loose ends, and I agree. Like I think it's a travesty to not have Sami Zayn on this card. Like that's insane to me that he's not on this card somewhere in the IC title or the US title or just somewhere. Like why isn't he on this card? That's crazy. So.
Guys, I love you both. I have to say this. I can't not say it. I just said in my head, I'm not going to say it, but I am.
Say it.
I fucking hate
Sami
Zayn. I hate Sami Zayn.
Oh, come on, Dusty.
He's such a great wrestler. I'll give him that, but he's in that he's in that weird spot where like I don't know what his thing is. I'm not sure that he's ready to be Intercontinental Champion.
He's the underdog of the underground, or whatever the hell they call him. That's what he is, damn it.
That's what he is.
You know what would have made this Oh, sorry.
What's that, Dusty?
What would have made this whole Intercontinental title scene a better situation is like a fatal four-way or some kind of something to get more people involved, and then hopefully the outcome is a new champion and we move forward. That would have been a little bit more exciting for me than what we're getting.
You know who would have been great for this? R-Truth, because Vince loves R-Truth and he's got to find a spot somewhere on the show for him. So this would have been it.
Goldust, yeah. He's just chasing Pokemon the whole time. That's the worst.
That is the worst. That's embarrassing.
All right, fellas. Let's move on from that. Up next, we'll do the women's championship match. Sasha Banks defending against Charlotte. Dana Brooke is barred from ringside.
Which means
I don't even want to start first. Who wants to start? Dustin, do you want to start first?
Oh no, I was just joking that Dana Brooke barred from ringside, which means she will be at ringside at some point.
Right? Yeah, they never follow through.
Uh,
What do you guys think of this matchup and this match? Dustin, what do you think?
oh God, I think I'm getting tired of Charlotte and Sasha Banks like fighting each other. I think Sasha Banks wins, and I honestly don't have any more thoughts on it than that.
Yeah. Man, I think this whole build has not been the best. It kind of has like this weird Dana Brooke thing in there, and then it was such a clusterfuck like two Raws ago where Sasha wanted like a handicap match, and like again, like I spoke earlier about how nothing's really linear and nothing makes sense. Um, Basically, Sasha goes to Mick Foley and is like, "Hey, I'm sick of Dana interfering in my matches. I want a handicap match at SummerSlam," which is retarded. Like, doesn't make any sense. Like, why would you ask for that match? And then it's like, uh, and then Mick goes, "Oh well, you know what I'll do? I'll put you in a match tonight against Dana. If you lose, it'll be a handicap match. If you win, I'll bar her from ringside." Why? Sasha Banks is the champ. Just bar her from ringside.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like she clearly is just interfering in all of her matches. Like just make it a one-on-one. Like you're Mick Foley. You can do whatever you want. Just do it. Like I'm so sick of like seeing certain superstars have to jump through hoops to get something, and then other people like Roman Reigns just being handed it. And I know that don't get me wrong, I get it. Like wrestling's fake, but like make it fucking believable. Like if this was is actually like a workplace, people would be pissed. Like people would be like threatening to quit. Like this is insane. Like I would never stand for that. I would never be like, oh well, I just beat the same guy 3 weeks in a row. Oh, but you're gonna give this title match to somebody else who just came off of being suspended. Like none of this makes any sense. And
Well, I think the lack of coherency, if that's a word, is because WWE really crapped their pants or blew their load too early with, I mean, from what I understand, the plan all along was for Sasha Banks to win the title from Charlotte at SummerSlam. But
yes,
when they
right?
did, which would have made all the sense in the world and kind of, again, set the tone for the rest of the year heading into not that the women would be in the Royal Rumble, but heading towards 2017. But because of the brand split, they felt they had to do the title swap on Raw or the title change on Raw, which that night, and in a land full of Raws that weren't kind of great. It's fun to have those moments. So that night on Raw, it was great. But now they've kind of screwed the pooch for SummerSlam.
Yeah, I agree. With all that being said, I think Sasha's gonna win.
Yeah.
She'll retain, and I don't know where they go from there. I'd like to see. I'd really like to see Charlotte um, feud with like Emma, like if she's returning soon, and kind of Dana Brooke being like that weird centerpiece between the two of them because she has affiliations with both of them. I think that would be a nice one. I don't know where Sasha goes next. Maybe a returning Nikki or something, but we'll see. I think Sasha retains. Dave, what do you think?
Well, you touched on a subject now that I have to go on a little mini rant here for a second. Mick Foley, in his short time as general manager of Raw, I'm hating it. I hate super serious Mick Foley. I do. I want early 2000s Commissioner Mick Foley, where he has a desk set up in a different back area at Raw, and he's got the gavel, and he's saying, and that's final, and bashes the gavel, and he has the stuffed puppy. That's my Mick. That's the Mick Foley that I want. Super serious Mick, who's working for Stephanie McMahon, is not doing it for me to start off. But that's my little mini rant. I'm sorry, I had to go there for a second. The women's match, as far as the in-ring work, I could watch Charlotte and Sasha Banks, work all the time. They do a great job, but it is getting stale. And we do need to move on to, new things as far as that division goes, really. Like, we need, like, I mean, Jesus, maybe it's time to call up Bailey, or to have her, like, be in that. I don't know, like, do how you got to do it, but, like, get it to where there's some fresh blood going for that title, because, for as much as we, love the four horsewomen, who came up from, there, it's, my God, we've been doing this for a year now, and it's getting kind of old, and it's great that Sasha Banks is the champ. This definitely would have been the time to have the title switch instead of Raw, but hopefully this is the last match between the two of them for a while. They need to find some new feuds. They need to find, some. I mean, thankfully there's some good talent down in NXT that's going to make its way up to the roster, but we got to get on that. That's got to happen, because like, after, if we have more of this, it's going to get stale, and people are going to get bored with the women's division again. Not because they're not talented, because there's only X amount. So Sasha Banks wins. I'm sure Dana Brooke will try to find a way to do something, and then she'll screw Charlotte over, and then they'll probably break them up, and she'll be on her own or something.
I want to add this because I didn't. It just kind of dawned on me. One thing that I kind of don't like about what Sasha Banks has kind of fallen into here, or a way somebody, I guess, could look at it, is that, it's kind of been Sasha against Charlotte and Dana Brooke all this time. And one could argue that Sasha Banks needed Bailey, to be an equalizer or to help her. And I just don't think that does her a service. She was supposed to be great on her own. She is great on her own. But I've kind of been thinking that, like, I just don't think this has been the best run to the I don't think this is the run to the championship that Sasha Banks wanted. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, no, I totally agree, Dustin. And I'll say one more thing to you before we move on about this. Is I know this is a very, very unpopular opinion, but, like, I don't think that Sasha Banks is great on the mic. I thought she was, when she, like, wasn't getting that push and everybody was, like, chanting, "We want Sasha." I was right there chanting, "We want Sasha too." And I have a cardboard cutout of Sasha Banks that I'm looking at right now. So don't get me wrong, Sasha Banks fan. I'm not trying to shit on her or anything, but it's just like, once she got that belt and she kind of got that mic in her hand, I felt she was, like, a little bit exposed, or maybe it was just tough under the bright lights with the belt on her shoulder. I don't know what it was, but it just didn't flow for me, and I was like, wow, this is really weird. Or at least she didn't remind me of the way that she was in NXT, where she was so confident and just so over the top and so boss-like. She really falls back into, like, just saying her catchphrases or calling herself the boss, and, like, that gets, a cheer from the crowd. But she's not really saying much. And anytime she kind of has to go off script or kind of stray a little bit, she kind of makes mistakes, like with her lines, or kind of just goes nowhere. And I feel like she's just been exposed a little bit. So it's interesting to see her as a champion, and I feel like the chase is always a little bit more satisfying than actually attaining it. And I think we're kind of seeing that with her. And I agree, Dusty. I think that it's not for her and for all of us. It's not what we expected her to be as a champ. We wanted her to be, like, a dominant champ, and it just hasn't happened yet. I think maybe with, like, the next feud to get Charlotte out of the picture a little bit, maybe she can really hold some dominance. But it's just not believable for me right now. I'm not really digging it. Again, I love Sasha. I think she's fantastic, but it's just been a little lackluster for me.
And this takes me to another quick point, too, is the fact that the WWE, in knowing that, the women's division's getting stale, now they're rushing up Nia Jax from NXT Nia
Yeah.
Jax, for all of her dominance in the ring, she's still pretty green, you know, like really green. And, you know, like I'm kind of worried that she's going to have that same, you know, deal. So I'd like to be exposed for, you know, hey, like this girl still needs some work, even though we're going to try to build her up as this monster. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's going to not end well, I don't think. So I don't know. We'll see, but
Yeah.
a little scary.
Yeah. Definitely. All right, guys. Moving on. Almost there. Man, this has been a big card. Let's go Brock Lesnar versus Randy Orton in a singles match. Man, I'm excited about this match. I really like this matchup. Um, I haven't loved the build. I haven't loved the Randy Orton that has returned. I'll say that. I really wanted crazy Viper, Legend Killer slash I don't know whatever voices in my head Randy for this, but instead we got like Fun Dad joking Randy. You know, one RKO to Viperville Randy, which is just terrible. Um, I think Lesnar's been pretty great when he's there. His promo last night with Heath Slater was pretty fucking awesome. Was really was like really awesome. It was the best I've seen Brock on the mic in a really long time, and I thought it was a great segment. And Heyman's been putting in the work like always. And I think just on the history alone that these two guys don't have, I think it's kind of cool that they've kind of both been around forever, came up through OVW together, part of that like famous class, and then they haven't really fought each other very often or had like any big feuds. So um, I'm really excited to see it. Dave, what do you think?
I think the build-up's been good. By the way, props to Heath Slater too in that promo last night. Heath Slater actually, for once in his life, like looks like an actual, you know, solid character.
Yeah, I
um,
wanted Heath to get a little bit more in there. Like I at least wanted Heath to get like a shot in. I always feel bad for Heath when he's such a good mic man and then he just gets fucking squashed. I really want good things for Heath, and that just didn't happen with Brock last night.
Absolutely no. He just ends up getting murdered. Um, no, the build's been good. And Lesnar, I think, has definitely come out of this looking kind of uh, a little bit more on top than Randy. I definitely agree with you on the whole Randy Orton, you know, dad thing, Viperville just being awful. Like, I gotta like honestly at this point, I gotta question like if Randy's really even into it anymore. I honestly like I don't know. Maybe I'm just going crazy here, but I don't get that feeling. Like I feel like he's coming back because he's contractually obligated to. You know what I mean? Like yeah, like
No,
I'm
I get
here.
that.
You know, I'm here. Great. You know, I'm gonna go out there. You know, I'll do my thing, but then I'm gonna go, and I'm not gonna really put more effort into it than I have to because you know I'm naturally gifted in the ring, and therefore I'll just kind of cruise on that. You know, for the rest of my career. Um, as far as picking who wins this match, this one's actually kind of hard. Um, I'm gonna go with Brock, but it's definitely gonna be a solid match. Just off of you know Randy Orton's natural ability in the ring and Brock being the monster that he is. It's gonna be an entertaining match. It's gonna be a good match. Brock's obviously gonna get in at least like 10 German suplexes, and
Yeah.
Randy Orton will definitely get in a couple of RKO's. It'd be pretty awesome if there's a random RKO to Paul Heyman. That'd be pretty sweet. But
Yeah.
either way, though, it'll certainly be a great match. Definitely one that'll be worth the hype. But I'll give the nod to Brock because Brock Lesnar, pretty much. So that's my take on
Yeah.
it.
I don't think I picked a winner, but I'm gonna go with Brock as well. So to conclude my long rant, I guess I'll go with Brock as well to win. I think that just keeps him established as the monster, um, and Randy, I don't know what it does for Randy. I think he can just be like a top guy on SmackDown, and he'll be okay with that. And maybe he has a good feud with like AJ or somebody. I don't know afterwards, but I think it doesn't necessarily hurt him. I mean, if you're losing to Brock Lesnar, it's not like you're losing to someone that you shouldn't. I mean, everybody should lose to Brock Lesnar. So, Dusty, what do you think?
Well, I feel like neither one of these guys should lose. So I kind of am wondering or leaning towards some kind of schmoz finish, where neither one of their credibilities get hurt too much. I mean, Randy Orton's been out for so long. I mean, to have him come back on this stage and lose to Brock Lesnar doesn't seem quite right. But also, Brock Lesnar coming off of a UFC victory, losing to Randy Orton does not seem quite right. So I'm wondering if there isn't something in the works for this match that's, a catalyst for something in the future. But I guess if I have to pick a winner, I'm going to take Brock Lesnar. And then I think, Randy Orton, if there is no interference or some kind of, storyline setup, I don't know where Randy Orton goes.
Yeah, it's tough when like everybody's so like you get a guy coming back and then a guy who's just dominant. So it's tough, man, to like kind of book everybody in a positive light without trying to catapult somebody, but then trying to put somebody on the decline. It's tough to do. And not every two guys can pull off a match and have it not happen like that. So I think maybe these guys are two guys that can do that. So we'll see what happens. All right, let's go. We got the last two matches are title matches. Let's do. You know what? I hate how Raw like just started their own belt. So let's do that one first, and we'll leave the World Championship for the main event because that's how I think it should be. Even though I don't think WWE thinks that way. But let's go. Finn Balor challenging Seth Rollins for the vacant WWE Universal Championship, which will be the top tier heavyweight title on Raw. So I think that this build's been pretty good. Here, first of all, I'm gonna say this one thing, and then I'll let you guys run with it because I don't want to spend too much on it. But I'll say this: I hate Finn Balor's new moniker or his new nickname, the Demon King. Oh, that just like my stomach turns when I heard that last night. They said the Demon King so many times on Raw last night. I almost like halfway through I was like, Jesus, I should be counting. Should I watch the first half again and like actually count how many times they say this? Because
take shots. Make it a drinking
game. It was terrible.
Game.
God, I wouldn't even be alive today if I took shots. It was so bad. It was like I'm pretty sure that Seth Rollins just ripped off the movie Labyrinth in the beginning of the movie, where he's instead of Demon King, it's Goblin King, I think. God, I haven't seen David Bowie in Labyrinth in forever, but anyway, that's the first thing I thought of, and I was like, this is so weird, and they just kept saying Demon King, and it sounded an awful lot like Demon Kane, and it just like discourages me so much that they can't be a little bit more creative with things where they have to have things like sounding the same, and I'm like, what are you guys doing? Like, just fucking get it together. Like, just he was fine as like the Demon. Like, I don't know why they changed things from NXT to the main roster so much, like changing names and everything. Just it worked on NXT. Just let it run its course. Just let it do its thing. You don't need to change his name to the Demon King. It sounds so terrible.
Well, I think the biggest problem with it, outside of the similarities to Demon Kane, is that it's two words that stand alone. They really shouldn't be together. It's kind of like calling someone like the deacon priest or something, I mean, it's just like you're a deacon or you're a priest, you're a demon or you're a king. You're not a demon king.
And then they've got King of the Ring, and it's just like all these. I was just thinking of like all these word associations that WWE has that, like.
And does Finn Balor look like a king to anyone? I mean, that I love the guy. It doesn't fit him. He's, in my opinion, he's just not a king of anything, and I hate it as well. And I guess we're just gonna have to live with it. I think this should be a good match. I think Balor takes it. truly, I'd be happy with either one of these guys winning.
Yeah, I think Balor takes it as well. I think that's huge that he takes it, so I don't kind of want to just nonchalantly be like, yeah, I think he takes it, but I really do. I think that they hand this to Finn, and it's pretty monumental. I think Seth has had a lot of success and that he doesn't necessarily need to be, the first Universal Champion. I think Finn can have that, and that would be really great for him. Um, so, and I agree. I think Balor takes it. Dave, what about you? What do you think?
I think that, I mean, if Balor won, it would certainly truly establish him onto the main roster, obviously, and like truly stamp himself as part of the future of the company. I think Balor needs the win, but I don't necessarily know or think that Balor will get the win. And that's the thing that kind of scares me with WWE booking. Rollins doesn't need this win. Rollins could have, like, honestly, Rollins is at the point now where let's face it, dude's going to be the Shawn Michaels of this generation. I mean, he doesn't need the belts to prove that he's the man. I mean, he goes out there and he puts on awesome matches, like, and does crazy athletic things all the time. Like, he's the future. Like to me, like, God, they want to push Reigns so much as the future of the company. To me, Seth Rollins is the future of that company.
I agree.
Yeah, totally.
At least from the in-ring product. So Rollins doesn't need the win, but unfortunately, I think they're going to give him the win, and that's what sucks. Balor, definitely agree as far as the whole Demon King thing. They need to open up a thesaurus and start figuring out some other terms, some other names. But and I really hate Balor's finishing move, the coup de grace. Lame. He's got to come up with a new finish. That's just. Yeah. I'm sorry. That's just dumb. I've always hated it, but I love him as a wrestler. I love the gimmick. I love the demon. I love it all. I just hate his finisher. Unfortunately, I'm gonna say that Rollins gets the win because of WWE booking. I hope Balor wins. It would be awesome if Balor wins. It would. I think if Balor won, it would make SummerSlam memorable. I really do. I think that would be the thing that you remember from the SummerSlam was the night that Finn Balor got established truly on the WWE roster.
Good call, Dave. That's dead on, buddy. I agree with you. I mean, that's
a
great way to put it.
So I hope Balor wins, but I hope WWE booking is thinking the way that I do, but we'll see. But because I know how stupid they are, I'm going to say Rollins gets the win, unfortunately.
Right on. Yeah, no problem. I haven't, this has kind of been stopped for some strange reason. Like, we were in the process of, like, writing out, like, this big pay-per-view after we did our Smark and Mark, like, draft. And then some things happened, and we ended up, like, not finishing it, but we got to finish it at some point. But I have an absolutely amazing baller way to debut Finn Balor, and I don't know, I just felt like they did an okay job debuting Balor, like, on Raw, but debuting, like, the Demon, or the Demon King as he is now, I thought it was wasted on Raw last night. I felt like they should have just done it at SummerSlam, and it would have been great. I don't know, I just don't know why they just wasted it on Raw. It just seemed like such a big production for just to have, like, a scuffle, and it wasn't very. We were talking a lot earlier about, like, the element of surprise, and, like, basically Rollins just calls him out and then he comes out, and I was like, ugh, there's no surprise in this. Like, it was just, I don't know, I didn't like it.
By the way, I'm gonna throw this out here right now, like almost a year in advance. Okay, WWE, you fucked it up with Bray Wyatt. Not doing Bray Wyatt and The Undertaker correct. Next WrestleMania, if you're going to have Undertaker come back, do Undertaker versus Finn Balor. Do it.
Yeah.
Make it happen.
I will say that my way to debut Finn Balor had a lot to do with Undertaker, the Wyatts, and Kane. And that's all I'll say right now. And it was a big, awesome jumble of just evil and darkness and very cool stuff. And it's already written. I could send you guys the copy of it. It's just not published yet because some of the other matches aren't done yet. But it's pretty wild. It's pretty awesome. So anyway, moving on. We're gonna go the WWE World Championship. Dean Ambrose defending against Dolph Ziggler. I think, hey, call me crazy, but I think this should be the main event of the night. It's the WWE World Championship. It's their flagship title. That's what this company is built on. So I think if they flip-flop it and they do Balor, Rollins last, I think that's a total cop-out. And I think it's disrespectful to Ambrose almost because, he came out of that triple threat match as the champ, out of the Shield. And, this is he should main event SummerSlam with that strap on his shoulder. That's what that title is. So I don't know. I'll let one of you guys start. Dusty, I know you have a ton to say about Dean Ambrose.
I do.
So please
Well,
bring it.
Can we go back to Finn Balor for just
Oh,
one
sure,
second?
yeah, sure.
So, and this is I'm not trying to be funny. I am trying to understand this. I haven't seen enough of Finn Balor to understand. Is his demon thing is it like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, or like what is the significance of his demon character?
They would. Oh, sorry. Go, Dave. Yeah.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, basically, it's just like it's like his reaching down and getting into badass mode. Like I guess
see.
he's like, there's badass and then there's demon badass, and I guess it means that he's ultra serious by putting on the demon paint. I mean, that's pretty much what it in layman's terms, I guess, what it's all about.
All right. So, I mean, I think that the thing that I don't like about what WWE is doing from more frequently than not is trying to, it was go home Raw if he came out in the demon paint last night, right?
Yeah.
So, they're trying to get the casual fan, I guess, probably to hook on to SummerSlam, but they're doing an incredible disservice to their loyal fans who,
right.
Give me, don't give me the filet mignon first, man. Give me the appetizers and give me the steak last,
Right, right.
And that's what's frustrating about that. And I wanted to just go back to that, Jonny, because I definitely I didn't watch Raw last night, but when I read the stuff today, and I was like, oh my god, they brought Balor last night, like what the hell?
Yeah.
So I wanted to circle back on that very quickly.
No, and thank you for doing so. That was a great point. I loved your filet mignon reference. Perfect analogy.
This is the first and only analogy I had.
No, it's great, man. So moving on, man. Dean Ambrose, your thoughts?
Yeah. I think Dean Ambrose has done a pretty good job carrying the title. I do not see a scenario where Dolph Ziggler wins this match. I'm fine with Ambrose retaining. There was a while back there I would have given anything for Ziggler to win a match like this. Part of me thinks they wouldn't have put him in it if they didn't want him to win it. So, there's that. But from a realistic standpoint, I think Ambrose retains, and that's all I've got on that one. I don't know what else to say about this match, to be honest with you.
Yeah. All right. Dave, what do you think?
I think the match quality will be excellent. I think Ziggler will obviously bump like crazy, and he's always been inspired by guys like Mr. Perfect. So to be like, I guess, co-main event, however management sees this match, I think he'll be able to. I think he'll step up to the challenge and do a really great job. Yeah, I'm with Dustin for sure. Ambrose has been a decent champion. Can't really say he's been a memorable champion as of yet. That's not trying to take away or that he won't be. It's been kind of a It's been an average run so far, and there's nothing necessarily wrong with that. But you're hoping that he puts out some more memorable matches, and hopefully this is one of them. But Ambrose retains. When it comes to Ziggler, I think I have more to say about Ziggler than I knew about Ambrose. Ziggler, God, we wanted for so. I'm with Dustin. We wanted for so long for this guy to make it, to break that glass ceiling, and when he won the world title way back when, we thought for a minute that actually happened, and then it didn't. And it was just such a letdown. It's like the girl that you've chased forever and she just repeatedly lets you down. That's how I feel about Ziggler. If he won on Sunday, I would be ecstatic. I feel like that train has come to its end, though. I think Ziggler at this point now, though, I think the rest of his career he's gonna be Mr. Perfect. He'll be that guy. He'll put on great matches, but he'll never be the guy. And it's unfortunate. It sucks. It's just not gonna happen. And it's unfortunate, but it's such a I can't be let down anymore about it. If I build myself up for Ziggler, it's just gonna be it's gonna end in heartbreak again. I just can't do it.
Well put all around, and this is what I'll add. I mean, if we ever weren't sure, this is it. I mean, this is it. If he wins this match, it's kind of like, you ever have a candle going and the wax pools up on the flame and it just is like the flame is just gonna die out. Are they gonna tip the candle and let the fire burn, or are they just gonna let the flame go out on good old Dolphy Ziggler?
Yeah. I will say this, fellas. I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to say Dolph Ziggler takes it this weekend.
Wow.
Wow.
I know. I agree with kind of what Dustin said a little bit. Like, why would he be in this match if they don't plan on him winning it? Because, again, like you said, Dustin, if he doesn't win it, it's definitely like the nail in the coffin. Like, he is done. Like, it's just, it has gotten to that point where it's not believable anymore. And I don't know if he can come back from all of this and be like a viable champion and like defend it and have it be believable. I know that like it's a weird this is a weird comparison, but like I feel like sometimes when they put the strap on guys, like they just like it's almost like their points how can I say this, like increase a little bit, like their stamina increases. Like if they were like a character in like D&D or whatever, like the championship belt would like make all their like attributes greater. You know what I mean? Like
I
I recall it like back in the day when like when Chris Benoit finally became champion, like he was like tapping out guys like Batista like on Raw, but then when his push is over, he loses to Batista, and now Batista's the champ. But, like, on just a regular Monday Night Raw match, he's, like, tapping out Batista. He's tapping out Triple H. Like, he's tapping out all these guys because he's the champ, and that's what the push is. And I feel like that would not be believable with Dolph Ziggler because he's had so many losses over the last couple of years where it's just not believable that he would retain that belt for any amount of time. It would be like a Zack Ryder situation. And that would suck even worse, I think, to see that happen to Dolph. Like, get the championship for, like, one day to just to pass it on to, like, a heel or something.
Yeah.
I think it would be awesome if Dolph turned heel.
I was going to say.
Champ.
Yes.
Like, that would be fantastic if, like, he turns heel,
yes,
gets the belt, or gets the belt and then turns heel, like, whatever. That would be amazing, and I think that's where the change could happen, where it could be believable, where you're like, oh shit, Dolph Ziggler's heel? Okay, now it's believable. He's just going to be a dick and a show-off, and he's going to super kick people's heads off when they're not looking. And I know that that's very HBK-esque, and there's been a lot of comparisons to HBK with him lately because he dresses exactly like him. but I'd still buy it. I'd still watch it, and I think it'd be awesome.
If they did that, if they did it that way, Johnny, then honestly, for me, all of the sins of the past with his booking would go away.
I agree.
Right, but if he wins and he's just still face and he's like, hey, I'm just going to go out there and steal the show as a champ, like he's going to lose it in a week, you know?
Yeah, he's been a face for far too long. I mean, I think, yes, Johnny, everything that you said, I'm on board with. And in fact, everything that we've all said about this match, I'm on board with. I think there are definitely some creative angles they can take to make this match a lot more interesting than it may seem, up front. And, Ambrose could turn heel. Ziggler could turn heel. If he could win in heel fashion, he could get help from somebody that we're not even considering. There are certainly some ways that this could go to reinvigorate or wipe the sins. That's the best way to put it. Wipe the sins away from Ziggler. And I hope for his sake, because he's talked about wanting to be done with the company, and being, he's been unhappy. And so this is it for him. And, it will be very interesting to see, what the outcome is here.
Yeah. If he doesn't win this, he should just leave the company. I swear to God, he should just go, because that's pretty much going to be the end of his career at that point.
I agree.
Yeah, totally. Well, that's SummerSlam, guys. Thanks for bearing with me on that one. That was a long one. That was a long card. There's tons of matches. I mean, obviously it's one of the big four, so they're gonna stack it up pretty good. Overall, I'm really looking forward to SummerSlam. Dusty, I know you and I are gonna go over to Greg's.
Yes.
Dave, we'll have to FaceTime or something, man. We gotta hook up at some point. Even though you're 4 hours behind us. We'll figure it out.
For sure, man.
Yeah.
You guys will all be dark over in Maine, and over here it'll be late afternoon.
Yeah. So.
Well,
man.
I have to say, I think that I am. I feel a little bit regretful that I, said that I wasn't pumped about this. I mean, in talking about it and kind of, looking at some of the ways that things could unfold. I think that WWE has set their table pretty nice for Sunday, and I hope that there are some surprises. I mean, that's what makes it. That's what and I hope they can deliver some meaningful ones.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be good. I hope it's great. It has the possibility to be great.
Yeah, definitely. I'd be really bummed if this was a dud, and I don't think it will be. I think they'll pull out all the stops for SummerSlam, and I think it'll be really good, not great. I think it'll be really really good, but not great. So we'll see. Anyway, let's get into some quick plugs before we jet out of here. Fans of the show, you guys can check us out on iTunes, Podbean, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio. You guys can go to smartandmark.com, get us right from the source. Go there, check us out. Not only our podcast, but a couple other contributors on smartandmark.com. Steven's doing some great articles always. Josh is writing up some NXT reviews and some hidden gems. Justin's doing some awesome creative corners lately with some music mashups. So check out all of our stuff there. It's such a good place to get all your wrestling fix. And also check out our good buddies at Main Event Madness. They air every Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Follow them on Twitter at JONMEM Radio. You can go to blogtalkradio.com/Main Event Madness. That's where you can hear their show. You can also check them out at wrestling-news.net. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me tonight. Dave, where can people find you? Are you on Twitter? You get some other plugs, whatever you guys want to do. Dave, where are you?
Yep, you can find me on Twitter at Dave_Dyer. Always checking in every once in a while, covering the random sporting event out here in the Northwest. So check it out every once in a while.
Perfect. Dusty, where are you on social media? Where can people find you?
That's a good question. I don't even know if I can find myself on there.
Oh, my God.
I am on Twitter, and I just need a second to find my handle at Dustin_. at Dustin_son. at Dustin_Sun. I try to put some stuff out from time to time.
Yeah, man.
My social media is regressing.
That's all
but
right, man. You know what? I always view your social media input as quality over quantity, my man. Anytime
thank you, brother.
Dustin posted something and it's fantastic,
Thank
and then like 3 months later, I'll just get like a random like on my Twitter from Dustin Son. I'm like, oh my god, all right, Dustin. Yeah.
I go on social media in the bathroom. That's where I do my social media.
And now every time I post
And we leave it at that.
Fantastic. All right, guys. You guys can check me out on Twitter at Jonny Fashion. Check out my co-host who is not here tonight at Harmon316. He's always doing some cool stuff. He's writing some good push, bad pushes for smarkandmark.com. So check him out there. You guys can follow smarkandmark.com on Twitter at smarkandmark_PW. And you can also follow this very podcast on Twitter at ISR2M Podcast. We like to tweet all kinds of wrestling stuff. So check us out there. And thanks for listening tonight. And again, gentlemen, thank you so much for being on the show. Really.
Thanks for having us on, man.
Thanks.
And Dustin, think about changing the Twitter handle to @textualchocolate. I think
that's the best thing I've heard all night. Oh, I love it. All right, guys. Peace out, y'all.
All right, guys.